A huge fight is breaking out in the Formula One paddock over the new 2026 engines, and at the centre of it all is the Mercedes team. While Mercedes is trying to make everyone believe that they are struggling, their rivals are sure that the German team has found a clever trick that gives them a huge, and possibly unfair, power advantage. This situation has now become a massive political battle with accusations, secret meetings, and even threats of a boycott of the first race of the season, creating a tense and uncertain atmosphere just before the new season begins. The whole argument is about something called the engine compression ratio, which is basically how much the engine squeezes the fuel and air before it explodes to create power. A higher number here usually means more power. The FIA, which makes the rules for Formula One, set a limit of 16:1 for all the new 2026 engines. This rule was part of a deal to get new car companies like Audi and Ford to join the sport. But the rules only say that this measurement has to be taken when the engine is cool in the garage. The rules say nothing about checking the engine when it is hot and running on the track. This is the loophole that Mercedes has reportedly used. It is believed their new engine is built to pass the test in the garage, but when it gets hot on the track, the compression ratio goes up to 18:1. That would give them a very big advantage, with some people saying it could be worth 2 or 3 tenths of a second on every single lap, which is a massive amount of time in Formula One. The other teams are very angry about this. A big group has now formed against Mercedes, with Ferrari, Honda, Audi, and even Red Bull all working together. They are pushing the FIA to change the rules and add a new test that would check the engines when they are hot. This has led to many tense meetings between all the teams and the people in charge of the sport. The problem is so big now that a final decision is expected at a very important Formula One Commission meeting next week. This meeting is happening right before the March 1st deadline, when all the engine designs must be finalized. The other teams feel that Mercedes has not played fair, even if they have not technically broken any written rule, because everyone agreed to the 16:1 limit. While this big fight is happening, Mercedes and their driver George Russell have been playing a very smart game with the media. Instead of talking about their possible advantage, they have been doing the opposite by trying to point the finger at their biggest rival, Red Bull. After the first few days of testing, George Russell said that the test was a reality check for Mercedes and that Red Bull was the team to beat. He even said that Red Bull's performance was scary and that their engine had a huge advantage of half a second to a second per lap. This is a classic trick to try and move the tension away from themselves. By saying Red Bull is the best, Mercedes hopes to make their own performance look less special and take the pressure off. They want everyone to think that they are the ones trying to catch up, while they might actually be the ones with a secret weapon. Red Bull, however, is not being fooled by this game. Their technical director, Pierre Wache, responded to the claims from Mercedes by saying, "I don't agree with that. Maybe it's a game that some competitors are doing." Red Bull understands that Mercedes is playing mind games and is not afraid to say it publicly. This argument between the two top teams makes the whole situation even more dramatic. It is like a game of poker where each team is trying to bluff the other one to get a mental advantage before the season even starts. Charles Leclerc from Ferrari has also said that he is sure Mercedes is hiding how fast they really are. He explained that the new 2026 cars give teams many more ways to hide their true speed compared to the old cars. This proves that the other drivers are not believing Mercedes' story about being slow. They have seen enough to know that Mercedes is a team that should never be counted out. The fight has now gotten so serious that there have even been threats of a boycott. Some reports say that Mercedes has warned that if the FIA changes the rules to stop their engine trick, they might refuse to race at the first Grand Prix in Australia. That would be a terrible situation for Formula One, because it would also mean their customer teams. Williams, Alpine and McLaren would also not race. A season-opening race with only 7 teams would be a huge embarrassment for the sport, especially now that it is more popular than ever. This threat shows how serious the situation is and also how much Mercedes wants to keep their advantage. Behind the scenes, the political games are just as intense. Formula One journalist Joe Saward has reported that Toto Wolff, claim that the engine trick is only worth a tiny 2 to 3 horsepower is seen as a complete joke by people who actually work inside Mercedes. Those insiders have apparently said that the real advantage is much bigger. Toto Wolff has also accused the other teams of sending secret letters to the FIA and having secret meetings to try and change the rules. He says the other teams are just scared of being embarrassed by how fast Mercedes is. This fight with words shows just how much the top teams do not trust each other. Both sides are accusing the other of cheating, and the FIA is stuck in the middle, trying to find a fair solution. Ferrari is trying to be more helpful, even though they are against what Mercedes is doing. They have said that they will not officially protest the team at the first race. They just want the FIA to make the rules clear for everyone. Ferrari has even designed a new tool that could be used to test the engines when they are hot and has offered that to the FIA. But they also admit that this might not be a perfect fix because teams could still find ways to cool their engines down before the test happens. This shows how complicated the problem is and how hard it is going to be to find an answer that keeps everyone happy. So what is going to happen? Well, the Formula One Commission meeting next week is the most important event right now. To change the rules, a supermajority vote is needed, which means 4 of the 5 engine makers, plus the FIA and the company that owns Formula One, all have to agree. Now that Red Bull has joined Ferrari, Honda, and Audi against Mercedes, the German team is in a weak position. If the vote goes against them, they will have to change their engine design just before the season starts, which would be a big problem for them. If the vote goes the other way, the other teams will be very angry. And the start of the season could be a mess of protests and legal fights. The FIA has an impossible job trying to keep all the teams happy and avoiding a big war. The next few days will be full of secret talks and deals as the teams fight for every little bit of advantage. The fight for the 2026 championship has already started, not on the track, but in the meeting rooms of the sport. The best proof of Mercedes' real speed came on the final day of testing. After 2 days of saying that they were slow and pointing at Red Bull, Mercedes suddenly showed amazing speed. The 1-2 finish was a big message to everyone and made their earlier claims of being slow look silly. It was a perfect example of a team hiding their speed until the last minute, a trick called sandbagging. This fast performance, along with the rumors about their engine, has made many people in the paddock believe that Mercedes is the team to beat no matter what they say.